Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Our guests today are author, teacher, Lama Surya Das, and actress, singer, producer Carol Wells Doheny. Author, lecturer, poet, and chant master Lama Surya Das has spent more than 35 years studying Zen, yoga, and Tibetan Buddhism with the great spiritual masters of Asia. He grew up in Long Island, New York, lettered in high school sports, and went on to graduate summa cum laude with a degree in creative education. Did you intend to teach school when you finished?
No, not at all. I thought I would write or something like that.
And so, but you weren't going to use your sports?
Well, I'm into sports. I'm still into sports.
But you weren't going to go any professional or follow through anywhere?
No, I wasn't good enough. I mean, you really have to be a, you know, an Olympic athlete to be serious about that. But I was interested in writing and changing the world at that time. I was in the peace movement in the 60s and so forth. So I thought that writing and speaking out and activism was the way to make a difference in the world.
But were you a religious
no.
As a teenager?
No, not at all.
In Judaism?
Yes.
You were in Judaism as a religion, right?
Yeah, you know, I grew up in Long Island, and I'm Jewish on my parents' side, and I got bar mitzvahed, but I was never very interested, and nobody could ever answer my questions, so I saw it elsewhere.
So did you find a similarity between Buddhism and Judaism?
Well, there's a lot of similarities in all the world religions, and of course a lot of American Buddhists are Jews, a disproportionate percent because of certain similarities, but not the majority by any means. So it's just something that I got into when I was in college, and then when I graduated in 1971, I went to India, to the Himalayas, to Tibet, Nepal, and so forth, and a year in Japan in order to trace yoga and meditation to its roots.
You talk about the similarities in Judaism. What about Catholicism? You said all the religions basically are very similar, but there's a lot of Catholic Buddhists too, or former Catholics.
There's a lot of hybrids of all kinds. Of course, this is a melting pot society, so we have melting pot spirituality, but Buddhism has more in common with Judaism than with Catholicism, perhaps. For example, Catholicism has the Trinity and more pictures of God and so on. Buddhism is like Judaism in having no image of the ultimate. So Jews find that very doable. And also Judaism isn't so much about a faith and belief as Catholicism, let's just say for the moment. And Buddhism is not about faith and belief at all.
Well, what is it about then?
It's about enlightenment, how to become enlightened. Buddha was a teacher of ethics, meditation, and wisdom, and nonviolence, and so on. Of course, this is in all the world religions, but he emphasized meditation, mindfulness, awareness, and good deeds, not so much the afterlife, not so much faith, not converting people, not proselytizing. And so it's not really a religion as much as an ethical, psychological philosophy of awakening. Even Albert Einstein said that Buddhism seemed like to him like the appropriate religion of the future, because it eschews dogma and proselytizing, and it's very much in tune with the natural world and natural laws.
Well, you can continue your own religion then and be a Buddhist.
Of course, many people do.
I mean, isn't that right?
There are Jewish Buddhists, Christian Buddhists, atheist and agnostic Buddhists. If you meditate, if you do yoga, you don't have to convert. You also don't have to believe in religion. You can still get the health, mental and physical health benefits, spiritual benefits, longevity benefits of meditation, yoga, chanting, healthy living, with or without subscribing to any belief system. And I think that's one of the almost unique properties that Buddhism offers us today. As the Dalai Lama says, his religion is loving kindness. Religion should be about wisdom and compassion and altruism. He's always stressing altruism and the good, innate good heart, the warm heart that we all have inside of us, and that we shouldn't argue so much about theology and where did the world come from and the next life.
And who's going to lead it, right?
And ignore this life.
Right.
And ignore what's going on in this world, that we have to take positive action in this world today.
You talked about the Dalai Lama, and you studied with many of his masters.
That's right.
People who taught him.
Yes, also the Dalai Lama. I'm close to the Dalai Lama.
Oh, you studied with him as well?
Yes.
And who else did you study with, and what kind of classes do you go through? I mean, are they actual classes, like college classes?
There's classes, and there's more than classes. There's study, there's also practice, like silent meditation retreats. There's yoga and fasting, there's chanting and ritual training, there's monastic training. So I was a Buddhist monk and lived in a monastery for 8 years.
So do you have to go?
Monastery.
You have to go through all those things to be, you're called Lama. Tell us what Lama is.
A Lama is a priest or meditation master in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism particularly. So that's a very well-trained, experienced kind of a teacher. But just to be a Buddhist practitioner or get the benefits, you don't necessarily have to go through such a rigorous training. Of course, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. I mean, that's kind of the law of life.
But so now as a Lama, what does that put you in a position to teach? Or do you have a center? Or?
I have a center. I have centers, the Dzogchen meditation centers in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in New York, Austin, Oregon, San Francisco. And I have students, and I write books, and I teach, and I translate the ancient wisdom into the modern world.
You write books, and,
yes.
And you've written how many books? So many.
9 books.
9 books, and the newest one is Buddha is as Buddha does. And the one thing that I found so interesting about this is you talk about 10 things that people should know, or that they
can do.
That they can do. It's like the 10 Commandments in a way.
Well, it's not commandments that you have to do or believe in. They're practices to do, such as practice generosity, practice patient forbearance, which is the antidote to anger and hatred, practice mindfulness, which is the antidote to mindless living, which brings all kinds of problems and accidents. So when we practice these things, it transforms our lives and transforms us, and it transforms all of our relations, which eventually transforms the whole world, because we're all interconnected. We're all in the same boat together.
If you're all doing that at the same time. You talk about a Buddha heart, and does a Buddha heart actually translate into what you were saying?
Yes, we all. Buddha said we all have the Buddhist heart, or a bodhicitta, the enlightened potential within us, the good heart, the Dalai Lama calls it in English. And this means that underneath it all, we all have that good heart, and maybe we've got defense mechanisms or persona or scars from our life, but underneath it all, I believe we all want to be better people and contribute to a better world. So this is the Buddhist heart. Of course, it's not Buddhist particularly, it's the Buddha heart. It's like the Jesus heart.
Buddha heart. The other thing is, people are always having so many problems with their relationships and marriages, and I think one of the things that you talk about in the book is how you can make those relationships better.
Well, of course, relationship is the essence of life. There's no way around that. Even if you're alone, you're in relationship. The hermit in the tarot cards is also part of the deck. And somebody supports the hermit and feeds the hermit.
Right.
So, there's an old story that one day the mountain hermit heard there was a flood in the valley below, and all the villagers had to move to another valley. So guess what? The hermit also had to move to another mountain, because the hermit exists in relation to the village.
Oh, so he had to be there with her. He had to, I see. So it's always there.
It's always there, and we're always in relation. Even Martin Buber said in his great teachings of I, Thou, seeing the divine in the other, that life is all about relationship or encounter. Every encounter is a spiritual encounter between oneself and the all.
And what is that in?
What
kind of teaching?
That's in the Jewish teachings.
Oh, that's in the Jewish teachings.
Yes.
I see. So, you know the Jewish teachings very well, I'm sure.
I don't know the Jewish teachings very well, but I've read these things. But Buddhism I know.
But what about yoga? Tell us what that is, because you talked about studying that. You talked about Zen.
Well, everybody knows.
A few
everybody
ideas.
knows today what yoga is. Yoga is a healthy way of life, as well as physical exercises. It works on our body, on our energy, on our spirit, and it's a good way to live. And it has a lot of ethics also, not just the physical part, but simplicity, purity, nonviolence, humility. Concentration or awareness and so forth. So the essence of it all really, according to our Buddhist or so-called enlightened way of thinking, is awareness, mindfulness. Rather than living mindlessly and having all kinds of accidents, there are really no accidents, but accidents because we're asleep at the wheel, living more mindfully, more awarefully, more